My name is Isabella Rossi, and at 73 I thought I'd hung up my apron for good. For 45 years I wielded knives and whisks, like a maestro conducts an orchestra, building a restaurant empire from a single food truck parked on Mulberry Street in Little Italy. New York, the air there was thick with the scent of fresh bread and roasted garlic, a memory that still lingers in my bones. My late husband, Carlo, a stout man with calloused hands and a laugh that filled rooms. And I turned Rossi's Ristorante into a chain of 12 locations, each a testament to our love. Our handmade pasta rolled by hand with flour dusted on the counters, and our secret marinara tomatoes slow-cooked for hours with basil from our rooftop garden. A pinch of oregano from Carlo's mother's recipe drew lines around the block. Customers would wait in the rain, umbrellas dripping just for a taste. When Carlo passed 8 years ago from a sudden stroke, his absence left a void deeper than any kitchen silence. I sold the empire for $28 million, retiring to my cozy brownstone in Brooklyn, where the air still carries hints of garlic and basil from my home kitchen experiments. The wooden floors creak underfoot, a reminder of the life we built. But nothing in my culinary career prepared me for the bitter taste of family betrayal, served cold by my nephew Nico and his fiancée. Sofia. Nico was more than family, he was my heart's extension. My sister Maria, a gentle soul with a voice like a lullaby, died of cancer when Nico was 15, leaving him orphaned. I took him in, raising him alongside my own dreams, teaching him the art of pasta dough, the rhythm of a perfect risotto. His small hands, once clumsy with a rolling pin, grew steady under my guidance. I watched him evolve into a sharp young man, ambitious with dreams of his own restaurant, a legacy to carry the Rossi name. When he met Sofia 3 years ago, an event planner with a flair for luxury charcoal eyes, a cascade of chestnut hair, and a smile that could sell a stale baguette, was overjoyed. They seemed a perfect pair, and I wanted to nurture their future. So when they announced their engagement last year, I loaned them $15,000 to kickstart their plans, a lavish engagement party and a family reunion dinner to bring the scattered Rossi clan together. The money came from my retirement savings, a nest egg I'd guarded like a rare truffle, but for Nico, I'd have given more. The reunion was set for a Saturday in mid-June, at Nico's budding bistro in Queens, Nico's Nook. I'd helped fund the lease, signing checks for $2,000 a month, dipping into my savings because family is everything, as Carlo always said. The bistro's brick walls and gleaming counters were a canvas for Nico's dreams, and I envisioned it thriving under his care. I spent weeks planning my contribution, a massive tray of my famous tiramisu, enough for 50 guests, layered with mascarpone I'd whipped by hand, espresso-soaked ladyfingers, and a dusting of cocoa. I even splurged on a new dress emerald green, to match the Rossi family crest, stitched into Carlo's old apron and new black leather shoes with a modest heel, dreaming of how I'd look beside Nico and Sofia in the photos. I polished silverware from my own collection, imagining the clink of glasses, the warmth of hugs, the flash of cameras capturing our reunion. But the Friday before, I was in my kitchen, elbow deep in flour, the counter a snowy landscape of baking. The brownstone smelled of coffee and vanilla, a symphony of comfort that usually soothed me. My phone buzzed on the counter, snapping me out of my rhythm. A text from Nico and Izzy, small change reunions, intimate now. Just close, fam. Sorry, space issues. Love you, intimate. Close, fam. I stared at the screen, flour-dusted hands trembling. Space issues. The bistro seated 75 plenty for the 50 relatives I'd heard were invited. My chest tightened as I dialed Nico, heart pounding like a pestle grinding spices in a mortar. Nico, what's this about the reunion? I thought it was tomorrow. I've got the tiramisu ready. My voice quivered, betraying my hurt. His response was rushed, the clatter of pots in the background like a discordant symphony. "Oh, Aunt Izzy." "Yeah." We scaled back. Sophia wanted something cozier. "Just parents, siblings, special people. Special people." The words hit like a splash of scalding oil, burning through my pride. Me, who'd paid their $1,200 monthly rent for 2 years when Nico's first venture flopped. Who'd furnished their apartment with antique oak tables hauled from my storage. Who'd stocked their pantry with prosciutto and fresh bread during lean months I wasn't special. I forced a laugh, but it came out choked raw. "But I'm family, Nico. You're Aunt Maria's sister. I helped fund this." A pause stretched, thick as risotto. Then Sophia's voice cut through, sharp as a paring knife. "Nico, tell her we're busy." He cleared his throat. "We appreciate that. Really? But it's too old-fashioned for the vibe we want. Next time? Okay? Gotta go prep calls." Click. The line went dead, leaving me with a half-whipped bowl and a heart in tatters. Old-fashioned. At 73, I'd innovated fusion Italian-Asian dishes: sushi ravioli with soye ginger sauce, miso marinara with shiitake mushrooms that won James Beard nods, dishes that blended cultures in a way Carlo would have cheered. But to them, I was a relic, a footnote in their glossy narrative. I sank onto a stool, the kitchen's warmth suddenly stifling, the scent of vanilla turning sour. The tiramisu sat unfinished, a monument to my foolishness, its creamy layers mocking my exclusion. That night I couldn't sleep. The silence was broken only by the hum of the fridge, where the dessert sat like a silent judge. By morning, curiosity and hurt drove me to Sophia's Instagram, public, of course, for her brand. Her account was a gallery of betrayal. There were the photos, the reunion in full swing taken yesterday. Nico in a tailored charcoal suit, beaming like a groom on his wedding day. Sophia in a sparkling ivory gown, her chestnut hair swept up in an elegant chignon. Toasting with champagne I recognized from the bottle I gifted them last Christmassy. 2008 Prosecco I'd saved for a special occasion. Her parents, her siblings, cousins I'd babysat during summer vacations, dancing, laughing. No space issues, just a deliberate cut. The caption read, "Reunited with our special people. Family, forever." Hashtag Rosie Reunion, hashtag Blessed Tears blurred the screen, smudging the flour still caked on my hands. $15,000 down the drain for an event that excluded me. But worse, the realization sank in. I'd been their bank, not their blood. The emerald dress hung uselessly in my closet. The shoes still in their box, unworn. I'd planned toasts. Imagine Nico's arm around me, Sophia's grateful smile, the flash of cameras capturing our bond. Instead, I was a ghost in my own family story, erased by their ambition. A week later, as the sting festered like an unhealed burn, Sophia called. Her voice was honey-sweet, a stark contrast to her Instagram glow. "Aunt Izzy, the reunion was lovely, but now the bistro's rent's overdue. Landlord's threatening eviction. Can you spot us $1,200? You forgot the transfer last month?" Forgot. I'd never missed a payment until now. I gripped the phone, steadying my breath like I would a trembling sauce reduction. "Sophia," I said, my voice calm as a slow simmer. "Didn't I tell you I only help special people?" Silence. Then a stutter, her confidence cracking like a poorly baked crust. "I don't understand. We're family." Lies. Her words were a mask, hiding the greed I now saw clearly. Family invites family to reunions. Goodbye. Hanging up, I felt a spark ignite the first flame of freedom. But it was short-lived. My phone buzzed relentlessly. Nico pleading, "Aunt Izzy, please, We're struggling. Sophia crying, "You can't do this to us." Texts piled up. "This is unfair. You're overreacting." I silenced it all, walking the Brooklyn streets instead, the evening air cool against my skin. For the first time, I noticed the cherry blossoms along Prospect Park, their pink petals drifting like confetti, the laughter of children playing not a crisis to solve for Nico and Sophia, but my own moment of peace. Back home, I tallied it all at my kitchen table. Surrounded by recipe books Carlo and I had written together, their pages yellowed and stained with sauce splatters. $15,000 loan for the reunion. $28,800 in rent over 2 years, $1,200 by 24 months. $5,000 in furniture. Those oak tables I'd hauled myself from a dusty storage unit. $3,000 in groceries, plus gifts for birthdays, holidays. Emergencies like a burst pipe last winter. Over $50,000 from my retirement nest egg, scraped from widowhood work, catering late-night galas, stitching aprons for extra cash, the $28 million sale of Rossi's. For what? To be labeled old-fashioned by a nephew I'd raised like my own son? The numbers stared back, a ledger of my generosity and their ingratitude. I remembered Carlo's voice, soft over a late-night risotto, its hands guiding mine. "Bella, family is the sauce that binds us." But this sauce had soured, curdling into resentment. I traced the faded ink of his recipes, each one a memory his laughter as we tested a new sauce, the way he danced me around the kitchen when a dish succeeded. Now, those memories fueled my resolve. 10 days after the reunion, they showed up at my brownstone 3 cars parked haphazardly, blocking my driveway, tires crunching gravel in the quiet street. My heart raced, a drumbeat against my ribs. But the new smart kitchen security I'd installed after odd break-ins missing recipe cards. Petty cash from a jar above the stove showed me the feed on my phone. Nico, disheveled in a wrinkled shirt, his usually neat hair a mess. Sophia in designer sunglasses despite the overcast sky. And a slick man in a pinstripe suit, Mr. Harlan, their lawyer, with a briefcase that gleamed like a weapon. I didn't open the door. Instead, I watched through the camera app. The lens capturing their agitation in crisp detail, the way Nico's fist pounded the wood, the tremor in Sophia's voice. Nico shouted, "Aunt Izzy, open up. We need to talk." Sophia's voice followed, shrill and piercing. "This is ridiculous. You can't just cut us off." Harlan adjusted his tie, stepping forward with a practiced smile. "Ms. Rossi, your nephew's concerned about your well-being. We're here to help." Help. The word twisted in my gut like a spoiled broth. I dialed my lawyer, Mr. Esposito, a grizzled Italian with a voice like gravel. Scotta Utat, with negotiated Rossi's Ristorante contracts with the tenacity of a bulldog. "Mr. Esposito, they're at my house again. Nico, Sophia, and a suit." "What do I do?" "Stay inside, Isabella. I'll be there with police. After our last talk, I filed for a temporary restraining order. They're not allowed near you." His assurance steadied me, a lifeline in the storm. Minutes later, Esposito's sedan and 2 patrol cars screeched up, sirens slicing the evening calm. I watched through the window, curtains drawn, as officers approached. Nico gesticulated angrily, his hands flailing like a chef losing control of a sauce. Sophia's tears flowed tears that once moved me but now felt like stage props in a poorly acted play. One officer knocked on my door. "Ma'am, you can come out. They're leaving." I stepped onto the stoop. The evening air crisp against my skin, the scent of rain in the distance. Nico shouted from the curb, his voice cracking, "Aunt Izzy, this is ridiculous." We're your family. You can't call the police on your own nephew." Sophia screamed back, "You're going to pay us everything you owe. We have bills you co-signed." Her words were a dagger, twisting the knife of their ingratitude. Esposito stepped in, firm as a seasoned risotto. "Ms. Russo, future contact goes through my office. Threatening collection. My client has records of every voluntary payment over $50,000 in 3 years. Consult your own lawyer." They drove off, defeated but glaring, their taillights fading into the dusk. I knew this wasn't over. But for the first time I felt a flicker of confidence, a spark igniting in the embers of my resolve. I had legal backing, and a plan was brewing, simmering on the back burner of my mind. That night, my neighbor, Mrs. Conti, a 75-year-old widow with silver hair and a warm smile, knocked on my door with a loaf of sourdough, its crust crackling under her hands. "Heard the commotion, Isabella? You okay?" Her voice was a balm, her presence a reminder that I wasn't alone. Over bread and tea, the steam rising like a comforting mist, I unburdened myself the Reunion Snub, the $50,000 tally, the lawyer's threat. Her eyes softened, crinkling at the corners. "I had a cousin pull that stunt once, wanted my savings for gambling. Cut him off. Hardest thing I ever did, but the best. You've got spine, though. Use it." Her words lingered as I lay awake that night, adrenaline buzzing like a kitchen at peak service. If Nico and Sophia wanted war, I'd serve it cold, calculated with a garnish of justice. I even pictured the dishes I'd create: a tart betrayal salad, a rich revenge risotto, a dessert of triumph. My kitchen, my kingdom, would become my battleground. The next morning, Marco called, his voice a familiar anchor from my Rossi days. "Chef Rossi, got something. Meet me at the cafe, she a.m. at the corner spot, thick with the aroma of roasted espresso beans." Marco slid into the booth, a folder in his weathered hands. His once boyish face, now lined from years of chasing leads, was grim. "Started with suppliers," he said, sipping black coffee that stained his lips. "Nico's Nook's been ordering double portions, flour, olive oil, prosciutto butt sales don't match. Skimming, maybe? Got ex-staff saying Sophia's been pocketing cash tips, too." My stomach churned, the coffee turning sour on my tongue, but I nodded. "Any hard proof?" I asked, my voice steadier. "Chef assessing a dish. Working on it. Bank records need a subpoena, but I've got a contact at the wholesaler. Also, Sophia's Aunt Vivian shows up in transactions. Not blood-hired help, I think. Fraud angle? Vivian." The name clicked. Sophia's so-called family at the reunion, too polished, too eager. Manicured nails flashing under designer silk. "Keep digging," I said. "I'll bait them. A reconciliation dinner, see if they slip." Marco grinned, a flicker of our old camaraderie returning, like old times setting the trap. "I'll back you up." His confidence bolstered me like a sous chef ready for service. Back home, I turned my kitchen into a war room. Recipe cards became my battle plans, spread across the table like maps. I'd use a tainted dish, my marinara, laced with a harmless emetic food-grade ipecac, enough to make someone sick but not harm them, to test their reaction. If Vivian was in on it, she'd reveal herself. I spent hours chopping basil, its earthy scent filling the air, simmering tomatoes until the kitchen smelled like home, mixing the emetic into a decoy batch with surgeon's precision. The process was meditative, each stir a step toward justice. That afternoon, I visited Dr. Alvarez, a friend from my old catering days. Her office smelled of antiseptic and lavender. She ran cognitive tests, memory math, reasoning her stethoscope cold against my chest. "Isabella, you're sharp as a ginsu," she laughed, eyes warm. "No dementia here. Relief washed over me like a wave hitting a calm shore. But the fight loomed ahead. Esposito confirmed the evaluation would strengthen our case. "They'll push harder now," he warned, voice low. "Be ready." Thursday, I prepped. Kneaded bread dough. Roasted garlic until it caramelized. My kitchen became a symphony of scents, comforting but charged with purpose. Mrs. Conti stopped by, her apron dusted with flour from her own baking. "Need help, Isabella?" she asked, knife in hand. "Just company," I said. We chopped vegetables together as she told stories about setting boundaries. How she'd cut off a cousin after he sold her heirloom jewelry. Her tale mirrored mine. Her presence reminded me that resilience can age gracefully. Friday arrived, the air heavy with anticipation. The doorbell rang. Nico, Sophia, and Vivian. My phone feed showed them on the porch, shifting nervously. I opened the door, my smile tight as a drawn string. "Welcome. Dinner's ready." The table gleamed, pasta steaming, bread warm, 2 bowls of marinara side by side. I served Vivian the decoy, my hands steady despite the tension. Nico fidgeted, fingers drumming the table. Sophia smirked, her lips glossy with arrogance. Vivian took a bite, then went pale, clutching her stomach. "What's this?" she gasped, stumbling toward the bathroom, retching echoing through the hall. Nico shot up, face flushed. "You poisoned her," he shouted. "No poison," I said calmly. "Just a test. Call the police if you like. Let's see what they find." The camera above the stove recorded everything, a silent witness. Sophia's face drained of color. "You set us up," she cried, knocking over her wineglass. Red liquid spread across the table like spilled blood. The night ended with them storming out. Footsteps echoing down the stairs, but the seed was planted. Marco's next call confirmed it. Vivian's outburst tied her to their fraud she'd gotten sick at another event. A public mistake that exposed their scheme over the next few weeks. Marco's investigation unraveled a web of deceit. Nico and Sophia had been embezzling from Nico's Nook, faking invoices for truffles and saffron, pocketing catering deposits, even selling counterfeit Rossi family recipes to food blogs. The $15,000 loan, spent on Sophia's luxury Habits designer handbags, a new Carnot, the Reunion. And Vivian, a con artist with a criminal record, Sophia's partner in a scheme to forge medical records declaring me incompetent, paving the way for guardianship over my $28 million estate. The records were disturbingly sophisticated fake doctor's notes, fabricated observations from bribed witnesses, including a waiter paid to claim I'd forgotten recipes during visits. With evidence in hand, I met Esposito in his cluttered office, the scent of old coffee lingering. "This is gold," he said, flipping through the folder, his fingers stained with ink. "Embezzlement, forgery, elder abuse, will countersue." But they struck first. A process server arrived with papers, a lawsuit for guardianship. Claiming my erratic behavior, the security system, cutting support, proved incompetence. The hearing was set for 2 weeks, a deadline that hung over me like a poorly timed sauce reduction. Panic rose, but I channeled it into preparation. I rallied Mrs. Conti, who baked for the school fundraiser, Dr. Alvarez, who'd catered my wedding, even ex-Rossi staff who'd seen Nico's shady deals, like the dishwasher who'd caught him pocketing tips. Esposito arranged a full cognitive evil, a 3-hour marathon of puzzles and questions confirming my sharpness. Marco hacked legally via subpoenas their emails, revealing plans to warehouse the old lady in a nursing home, their words cold on the screen. The hearing day dawned stormy, rain tapping the windows like impatient fingers. In the courtroom, Nico and Sophia sat with their lawyer looking smug. Sophia, 30, with her perfect makeup foundation masking her tension, whispered to Nico. 28, who avoided my gaze, his shoulders hunched. Their lawyer, a 50-year-old man with a silver tongue, painted me as a confused widow, hoarding wealth, paranoid about family. He waved the forged records, his voice smooth as melted butter. Esposito countered, his voice a rumble. Your Honor, this is greed, not concern. He presented Marco's evidence embezzled funds totaling $200,000. Forged records traced to a print shop, emails plotting my downfall. Witnesses testified, Mrs. Conti on my vitality. Chopping vegetables with me last week, Dr. Alvarez on my competence, ex-staff on Nico's theft. Like the sous chef who'd seen fake invoices. The judge, a stern 60-year-old woman with gray hair pulled tight, leaned forward. Mr. Rossi, Ms. Sawyer's actions reek of exploitation. Guardianship denied. Charges for fraud and embezzlement recommended. Nico's face crumpled, tears streaking his cheeks. Sophia's turned ashen, her manicure digging into the table. Police escorted them out in cuffs. The clink of metal a final note. I sat stunned as the gavel fell, a sound sweeter than any kitchen clatter. In the aftermath, my revenge was sweet. I donated Rossi's empire to a culinary school for underprivileged youth. It's $28 million funding scholarships in Carlo's name pasta-making classes. Sauce workshops, dreams for kids who'd never known a food truck. I disinherited Nico, his name erased from my will like a burnt recipe. At 73, I teach classes there, my hands guiding young chefs through dough kneading. My voice sharing life lessons over simmering pots. The uninvited reunion. It invited me to a new life, free and flavorful. The scent of basil, my victory hymn. Thanks for listening. Subscribe for more, donate to elder causes, and comment, have you faced family greed? Where are you watching from? Until next time.